Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today we've got a regular monthly video for you where we go over and give you all the recommendations for how to spend your Spotlight caches for the month. I want to be clear right at the front, however, that Marvel Snap has not released their season preview at this time, so this is all subject to change. They could have changed numbers on these cards, they could have changed some of the Spotlight caches. I will have an update for you in tomorrow's video should any of that change. But for now, these are my guidelines for you on how to spend your most valuable resource in Marvel Snap, your Spotlight caches. Before we get to those, though, I'm going to ask you to hit that sub button if you're willing. The sub here would go a long way to helping us towards our goals as we do our very, very best to hit 25,000 subs in 2025. We're climbing at an amazing rate, and your support means the world to us as we get there. That little YouTube button at the bottom right of the screen, if you press that, you're subbed. You've helped us out. In return, we give you at least 7 days a week of Marvel Snap videos. Last week was 8. The week before that was 10. We never do less than 7. If you want the most Marvel Snap content, this is the place to be. If you love the game and are looking for that competitive edge. Plus, we are giving away 6 copies of Sam Wilson Captain America this week on the channel. All you have to do in order to win Captain America Sam Wilson is sub, like, and then leave a comment. And I'm going to tell you what that comment is right now. Some videos I make you wait. Not today. That comment is really simple. If you want to win Sam Wilson Captain America, all you have to answer is which is the card you are looking forward to most this season. At the end of the week, on a video, I will announce the 5 or 6 winners. We will also have some winners right now. Our 3 winners are Snappy111, Kazushi80, and Devis6339. You 3 are the winners of the Sam Wilson Captain America Season Pass. If you'd rather have Iron Patriot and you can get to me basically sometime during the day today before the season turns over, you can have that Iron Patriot if you prefer, but congrats on the new Season Pass card. All right, Sam Wilson Captain America is a 2/3. Game start adds Cap Shield to a random location. Ongoing, you can move Cap Shield. Game start means at the start of the game, you're always going to have that Captain America's shield on the board. It immediately starts on the board. It doesn't do anything, it just sits there at a random location, which can be really good. There are going to be games where you're going to get that into like a Death's Domain where you wouldn't otherwise be able to, but there are games where that's not going to work out nearly as well for you. You can move Cap's shield. Great. So when you play Sam Wilson, first you have to draw him, then you have to spend the 2 energy. Once you've done that for the rest of the game, you've got once per turn, obviously, because that's how the game UI works. You can move Captain America's shield. Ongoing. This can't be destroyed. Give your Cap +2 power when this moves to Cap's location. Cool. So first, this is going to be immune to Killmonger, which is pretty nice, unless they get rid of the ongoing. If they get rid of the ongoing, not only is it not going to give the +2 power, but it can be destroyed. So if you can play Sam Wilson on a different location, once it reveals the next turn, so turn 3 if you play Cap on 2, turn 4 if you play Cap on 3, you get the idea, you will be able to move that to the Sam Wilson Captain America location and give it +2 power, which is going to turn the first time you do it into a 2/5, the second time you do it into a 2/7. It's going to be fairly hard to do it more than twice. However, there's a caveat here. This gives your Cap +2 power. We don't know if it's going to work with Captain Marvel. I assume not, but this should absolutely. I cannot imagine they're going to disappoint everyone. This will very likely work with Steve Rogers' Captain America. And giving that card extra power seems really great, and that's the card you really want this shield to land in at the end of the game, because that's going to turn this into a 1/3, and now we're really cooking. We've got these 2 cards together. We can give +2 power to our board every turn, right? If we can go turn 2, Sam Wilson, turn 3, Steve Rogers. How consistent will that be? Probably not the most consistent, but with even one Sam Wilson on the board, if you can get Sam Wilson on the board on turn 2 or 3, you will have a 2/7 in play, and 2/8 really, because that Cap Shield is still in play. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. You will happily play a 2/8, and if you can get both in play, now you're really, really cooking. So I think that this is a very cool card. It's like nothing we've ever seen, and it seems like it's going to be at least worth messing with since it's so new. The main synergy here is the classic Captain America. Ongoing card, Spectrum, Iron Man, Moonstone. Moonstone seems really good with Classic Cap. It's going to turn that shield into a 1/5, cannot be destroyed. So, Iron Man, Moonstone, Doom 2099, which really likes Classic Captain America and also kind of likes the shield for directing where Doombots can or cannot go. And then we've got Super Skrull and so on. So, general speaking, ongoing cards are happy here. Move cards are really good. Hercules seems incredibly strong here. If you can play Hercules, usually on turn 4, you can throw the shield in and out of a location basically every turn, hopefully hitting both Captain Americas at once, which would be +4 a turn, which seems utterly insane. The shield does not move if you don't get Sam Wilson, though, so Madam Web gives you an extra way to do that. The other move cards here aren't really going to do it besides Cloak, but Madam Web seems good. Now, Craven seems really good in one Captain America lane because you're going to be moving a card in and out all the time. If you're moving a card in and out all the time, Craven's getting +2 power each time. That seems like it's probably pretty amazing too. There's probably a deck that does the move thing with Captain America, but that's really going all in on a proper draw curve. I'm less convinced that's going to be a meta deck than I think the ongoing. I think Doom 2099 is where we want to be. Cull Obsidian likes this, as does Khazar. Cull Obsidian will always have a 1-drop to be played as long as this card is in the deck. You don't even have to play it, so that's pretty decent. I don't think you really want to do that, but if you are playing Zoo, Khazar is reasonably happy to turn this into a 2. Blue Marvel would make it bigger. Marvel Boy would continue. Any 1-drop synergy of that kind is good. And this is going to make Mockingbird permanently 1 cheaper, so it turns Mockingbird into a 5. This is straight up, however, hard countered by Scream, Shadow King, and Clog. You can just take away all the power it's given by Shadow King. Scream just turns that +2 into a -2 on that shield, and then Scream is going to get huge, and you can Clog and ruin your opponent's day by not giving them any space to move things. Those are 3 relatively hard counters here. Now, it is also worth noting that if you're looking for a Scream deck, you should check yesterday's video. We have a Scream deck that is ranked 16 in the world right now. So the ranked 16 player in the world is playing that if you're interested in a Scream 2 hard counter, what everyone's going to be doing tomorrow as soon as this card comes out. So should you buy this card? Yes. Our friend Lormadevs did the math to show us what that means. So Lormadevs is on the Snap on this podcast. She's also Marvel Snapstone writer and an absolutely incredible human being who you should absolutely check out. So a Series 5 card is worth 6,000 tokens or 2.5 keys. It takes about 2.5 keys on average, or obviously 6,000 tokens. If you buy the season pass, you just save that. That's 6,000 extra tokens you have from getting this later, or 2.5 keys. On top of that, you're also going to get an extra 300 credits and 1,550 gold if you complete your weekend missions, which is a ton of gold. You get 3 exclusive variants, 1 premium mystery variant, 2 mystery variants, 3 avatars, 2 titles, 1 card back, and 1 emote, which is 7,250 gold worth of cosmetics. Now, with the cosmetics, the season pass is worth, based on in-game sales rates, $212. Without that, the season pass is worth $122. Let's say you say the cosmetics don't matter to me, light them on fire, they're irrelevant. It's still worth $122. It costs $9.99. That bundle that everyone went crazy for, the American compensation bundle we just got, is worth about a season pass and a half in value. Yes, free is infinitely better than $10, but everyone's like, oh my god, that's great value. If you play enough Marvel Snap, the season pass is either 12.24 times value of anything else you buy in Marvel Snap, or 21.31. There's no other value in the game that approaches just buying the season pass every month. I know multiple players that have played for a year or year or more, who are either collection complete or competitive collection complete by just buying the season pass and using their resources wisely. I strongly urge you to, if you can at all afford it, consider Marvel Snap a subscription model and get the season pass, even though I think this is fairly likely to be the weakest season pass we've seen since Symbiote Spider-Man. All right, Captain Latveria is where I will be beginning my journey with this card. I want to fit Hercules in here and do all sorts of silly stuff, and it's fairly probable that Rogue might want to currently be Super Skrull, at least for the first week, but this is where I want to begin. We know that this style of deck works. They just buffed Spectrum, I assume, because it fits in this list. Making Doombots really big, making Doombots able to go tall with Captain America seems great. Letting me direct where things go seems very strong. This is where I would really like to begin with this card. You can consider lots of cards like Moonstone and other stuff there, but I just want the Doom 2099 plan, which we know is extremely powerful, and I want the ability to go tall and wide, because if I can go just a dream cost curve, right? This isn't going to happen most games. If I can go Ant-Man, right? Like, let's forget ramping out the 2099. If I can go Ant-Man into Cap, into Doom, into Blue Marvel, into Spectrum or Doom, I feel like I've won. Right? I feel like that is going to be almost impossible to beat for most opponents, and I'm very excited to give it a try. That said, if you don't have Doom 2099, again, I think there is other stuff to do with this card, but I'm less sure that that's going to be competitive. I'm pretty sure the Doom stuff is going to be competitive. It's something you can hit infinite with, something you can climb infinite with. If you are lacking Doom, I think make sure you check back tomorrow, and then make sure you check back again on Wednesday, where I'll have the top performing early decks for Sam Wilson. My working assumption is that this is going to be a card that will find a home, but it's going to take a little while. Um, but it is adding enough power that it's probably worth messing with. This is slightly updated. I just like people to know before we go forward what the upcoming OTA and patch schedule is. The patch is not coming tomorrow. The patch is actually coming the 11th now. They pushed it a week because of the giant disaster of everything that was happening. The patch will be the 11th, which means we're getting a patch and an OTA on the same week, I believe, next week. But this will be the only update this week will be the 2 new cards coming out. What's the other card that comes out with Sam Wilson, you might ask? Well, it's Joaquin Torres, the Falcon. This is the new Falcon when Sam Wilson becomes Captain America. This card is ongoing. The on-reveal ability to one-cost cards here happen twice. And that's nice and simple, right? This is basically Wong for 1-drops. Which you're like, why the hell would I want a Wong for 1-drops? Well, it's 1 cheaper. He's also a 3-4 now. He was a 3-3. So excuse the old text. He's a 3-4, and he will just be better. So this card has some really cool synergies, and I think it's going to be a new deck builder. So the first thing you can do is play Moonstone. If you play Moonstone and then you play Rocket on it, you're going to end up getting those 4 triggers. And if you're getting +4, right, that's plus 16 power. That's a lane winning amount of power. Or your opponent can avoid that spot and you can get a free win. You can also play this in one lane, Wong in another, and do similar mean things. The 1-drops that are on reveal that really like this, America Chavez is going to give +4 to your top card with Moonstone, +8. Hawkeye will go to 1/7, or again, if doubled, to 1/13. Korg throws 2 to 4 rocks in the deck, which is nice if you're running Darkhawk. Maria Hill gives you a bunch of 1s. Play that with Quinjet, and then if you've got a Valentina, you just sort of kill the board by flooding. Nico seems great. The double on Nico seems incredible, as does giving +2. Hood is nice. I would like 2 to 4 demons without any extra work. Silver Sable, again, stealing 2 to 4 power, really going to wreck that top card of your opponent's deck. If you get the Moonstone combo, I think Iceman is insane. You are then giving 4 cards the Iceman treatment. Good luck to your opponent playing stuff unless they were just going to drop a 6-drop. And we already talked about Rocket. This is hard countered fairly easily, though. Clog, Rogue, Cosmo, and Killmonger all wreck this. Perhaps Frigga, Magic, Kara, and Mystique like this. Perhaps Gazar likes this. Perhaps Marvel Boy likes this. There's a lot to look at here for as far as all of that goes. Now, this card comes in Spotlight Caches with 2 others. It comes in Spotlight Cache with Makkari, Namora, and of course Joaquin himself. Let's talk about the cards before we talk about the variants. First, Makkari is just a good card. It's a card that a lot of people think is bad. It's a card that a lot of people have slipped on. But Makkari remains a powerful, powerful card. What Makkari ultimately does is fits very well into certain surfers, the type of surfer that buffs your hand and deck, because it just jumps into play. In Surfer, it's at least +6 power most of the time. An 06 is incredible, even if you don't totally control it. We've got an 07 in Proxima. Makkari is that with a lot less work. So it is really cool to be able to play Makkari in that way. I think this card is really good in Moon Girl too. Big Baby is playing a Moon Girl list that runs Makkari right now. It's just really cool. And I like this variant a reasonable amount. So I think Makkari is a card that's pretty good to have. Not a must-have, not a requirement, but a pretty good card to own. Namora was buffed to a 5/7, and I'm going to tell you right now, I was not impressed. But on stream yesterday, we had a ridiculously successful partner celebration stream. I played some Namora. Philip Rakovich made me. So as I played all this Namora, who is now a 5/7 once more, I realized that she is the backup plan for her deck, A, but she's A requirement for that, and B, really, really strong in it. So if you can get Namora going, you're way, way, way ahead of where you would otherwise be. Namora is a very strong card. She is probably worth owning. Is she going to be amazing? Is she going to transform your entire gameplay experience of Marvel Snap? No, I don't actually believe so, but she is still very powerful. I do like this Namora variant. I actually like the recent one a little bit better. I like this Makkari variant largely because I only like the base art Makkari. I don't like the Makkari variant where she's I don't know, sitting on the chair. And I do like this Joaquin Torres variant. I think Joaquin Torres he's giving me very serious bullseye vibes, where this is a card that you're like, is this going to be really good? And then when you play it, it's like, oh, it does a thing. And this is the thing I want to start doing with this card. See, 3-4, I told you. So what I want to start doing with this card is I want to try a Moon Girl list. And maybe I'll end up throwing Makkari in this, maybe not. But I want to be able to get Torres down. Maybe I Moonstone it, maybe I don't. Maybe I Moonstone that Victoria hand. Sometimes I'll be able to Victoria hand that Moonstone and then Moon Girl and play a bunch of ones. Sometimes I'll be able to Moonstone that Joaquin Torres, and then I'll try and win off hoods and silver sables. If I can get 4 hoods with Victoria handout, I feel like I've probably won that game, right? That's just a ton of power. I've got this giant Hawkeye, the Sable, these giant Rocket Raccoons. I can wreck their hand with Iceman. All these different things I can do. I can play them early as long as I see Falcon. I don't want to run too much bounce here, but I can run Falcon as a way to sort of get things going here. I think that this is going to be a very cool way to play the list. It's got 3 different play patterns, and I'm really excited for this. I'm hopeful that Moon Girl Hitmonkey can just have this new extremely powerful piece. I really, really, really want this to be good, and I think it's close. I think it might be. I'm very excited to try it. I'm also going to try, by the way, another version I'm going to try is going to be Quinjet Moonstone Victoria Hand Torres, and I'm going to try to run Maria Hill and Hood and see how many cheap old things I can make that I can just buff to the Moon Victoria Hand at the end of the game. Again, I'm really excited for this card. I think that this is going to be I don't think it's going to be quite as good as Bullseye, but I think it's going to be Bullseye-esque in terms of making new stuff to try. And I think that's really exciting. This is the only card that this month that I think that's likely to be true of. Then we have Surfer. This is a Makkari Surfer list. This is a version that has been doing really well. It's one of the top decks at High Infinite right now. I've played this one a fair bit. It runs Killmonger. It's basically my old build, except we threw Killmonger and Rogan for the current meta. Makkari is great in this type of build. I don't know what else to say. If you're running Brood and Absorb Man, Makkari gets a little worse. But so like Absorb Man is usually the replacement for Makkari because you don't really have space for Makkari if you're running Brood and Absorb Man. However, um, in a deck where you're running cards like Okoye, there's just a lot of power to it. Even if it becomes just a 3/5, right? You're really, really thrilled to play a free 5. This is a really good card, and you can set up spots at the end of the game where this wins you, where it has nowhere to go, and it wins you the game when you draw it late. Wonderful card in this type of surfer list. Again, though, unless you want to play a hand buff, and sorry, you want to play a buff surfer, you're not required to really go get Makkari or Moon Girl. It's good in a lot of Moon Girl. And then we have Safeties, the One Piece. This is the exact card for card list I played yesterday. This one is relatively cheap. Not cheap, but relatively cheap in that Agony and Lasher are high series, but they were free. Ravonna is series 4. Cassandra Nova was free if you played long enough. And then you would need Sage and Lad, but actually, I don't know if you need Lad. You would need Sage. And then Namora is just kind of there. You can get Namora this week, right? So I think this list is incredibly strong. This is what I played. I played it in a bunch of friendly battles yesterday toward the end of the stream. If you want to check out the VOD on Twitch, twitch.tv/PulseGlazer, you should. I'll be live tonight too. But this list felt really good. Like, I did not think this list would be able to compete power-wise with the meta, and it absolutely does. It absolutely competed with most of the decks in the meta, and is worth messing with. Lasher is an absolute beast. But Namora, like Namora hits Lasher that you've agonied, and all of a sudden you're sitting there with a 9 power Lasher, which means you've got an 18 power lane with that one combo. It's awesome. I really, really like this deck, and I really like Namora in it. However, there is the caveat for a lot of this month's cards. This is the only deck I think Namora goes in. This is one of the 2 decks Makkari goes in. So a lot of the extra spotlight cards this month are 1 or 2 deck cards, which royally sucks. Like, it absolutely sucks. But that's the case. So if you're going to open, I think if you need both Namora and Makkari, it is totally reasonable to open for this week. However, I'm not 1,000% sold. If you're only missing one, I would wait for if you need Joaquin Torres, I would be waiting till the end of the week. Also, please remember on tomorrow's video, Tuesday, geez, I can't believe it's tomorrow already, we will be doing a full review with more decks and turn by turns for Joaquin Torres and for Sam. Our card the week after, 211, is Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. That is a 2/2. When your opponent ends a turn with unspent energy, draw a card with 10 or more power. You can't control whether you draw that card of 10 or more power, but if you play Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross and you've played enough Marvel Snap, you know that opponents are fairly likely to miss a turn, usually or an energy, usually around the middle turns of the game. Sometimes there's no 4-on-4, there's a 3-on-4. Sometimes there's a 2-on-3, etc., etc. That kind of thing tends to lead to you drawing a 10 power card in this list, which is incredible, which means that this is a Scar card. It could have some other homes, but the Scar, Cull, Crossbones, Arrow, etc. are the cards this really, really likes. Being able to draw those cards in that Scar deck seems incredibly strong. That deck just won the Crown tournament that our friend Super Tech got and Power on Gaming held. It is insanely strong. It's the Scata list that was in yesterday's video, so check it out. It was at the end of yesterday's video as like the should you buy Ares deck. So yeah, if you bought Ares, this is suddenly looking like a really, really good buy. This could be good in Hella lists. Hella lists only run 3/10s, Infinite, Death, and Black Cat, but it really does want to see those damn cards, right? Plus, thinning your deck makes you more likely to see Hella, so I think this card is reasonably likely to find a home there. The Evo Hulks deck may like this as well. The card you're really looking for there on 5 and then spend turn 6 going She-Hulk and Red Hulk, She-Hulk and Infinite, whatever the case may be. She-Hulk and Hulk Classic, whatever. And being able to draw those cards seems like a really good way to make sure you win those matches. And then finally, maybe Shuri Red Skull comes back. We have had a Red Skull deck that really only runs Red Skull as a 10 and sometimes Typhoid. It doesn't go there. But if we do Shuri Red Skull and we add more 10s to that list, all of a sudden we might be getting somewhere. We might be cooking. But I think that the 10s deck, the Hela and the Evo, are where we should be starting. Now, Thunderbolt Ross, in this reasonably cool variant with the very nice mustache, is going to be a meta card because the Scar deck is a meta deck. Nebula is this is a really cool Nebula variant, right? Not going to say it's not, but Nebula is a mediocre card right now. She's a good 1-drop, but not one of the top 1-drops. She's not one of the top 5 1-drops in the game. It's ridiculous that she's still a Series 4. I fully expect her to Series drop. They sold her to us like 15 times. I wouldn't go crazy for Nebula at all. Blink is very underrated because Butt has been playing more and Butt loves Blink. Blink is showing up in more decks like Ajax decks and such. It's also an absolute must-have in Hella. So if you're going to play Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in Hella lists, perhaps you would like to also get Blink and then you open up a new deck. That makes sense to me, as does just those of you who really want to play the new Hella where you really, really need Blink. Is Hella a meta deck? Nope, and that makes this a reasonably skippable week unless you are playing that Scar deck, at which point you must have Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. I'm pretty sure he's going to be an absolute requirement for that list. Certain cards we really need to wait and see on, right? We don't know what Joaquin Torres is going to be. We don't know what Sam Wilson Cap is going to be. Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross might as well come with a stamp on him that says exactly what deck he goes in. This is the Thunderbolt Ross deck. I basically took out Shadow King and put in Thunderbolt. That's it, right? This is Scata's list. It's Scatabolt Ross. It is really strong. I believe Scata cut Hydra Bob for Iron Patriot at some point, so whatever, or Nico for Iron Patriot, who cares? You'll be fine with any of those changes. Play this card in this list. You'll like the extra power. You can't draw Ares, but drawing Crossbones, Cull, Arrow, or especially Scar all seem real, real good. You should probably play this list. It puts out a ton of points. It's one of the best in Marvel Snap. If you don't want to get Thunderbolt Ross, get ready for Mobius that week. Then we have Cougar's The Renaissance. This is a solid Nebula deck. This is, in fact, the only deck I really like Nebula in right now. What Nebula's use here is to sort of encourage your opponent to play in certain lanes. That's what Nebula really does. It says you should play cards here. And that's powerful when I'm trying to Viper and Annihilus things over. That's it. That's what it's doing. If you played a bunch of your early stuff on the left, you might not have enough on the right to stop me from sending over my my Void. And if I can send over my Void, I usually win the game. That's what this list does. That's what Nebula does here. She's not in any way, shape, or form required for this list. She's just a nice way to help you out with your game plan. Then finally, we have Danish's new Hela. This is the top-ranked Hela in the game. Supergiant has been cut for Morph in current version, so if you're missing that Supergiant, don't hesitate, although you will need Corvus for this version. List is good. List is strong. I don't know what else to say. You do need Blink. You can't play it without Blink. I don't believe this is an effective list. If you are not running the card, Blink in it. So this is Danish's Hela list. If you feel like you must play this list, you're going to need to get Blink. And if not, well, also, remember how I said you should really get Season Passes? Both Blink and way back Nebula are Season Pass cards. So if you play long enough and you buy the Season Pass, you can look at this week in a very different way. Hey, I will be going live tonight about 8:30 at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. Please make sure you check it out. We had a wonderfully successful partner celebration streamathon thing yesterday, and now I got to stream all week. So we got some things to settle. We'll be testing some new decks, ending the season. I got to burn some Infinite Conquest stuff. So if you want to come check that out, come hang out at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer this very evening. Next up, we're at Redwing. Redwing is a 3/3 on reveal. Return one of your. Oh, that's not what it does anymore at all. Thought I changed that. I copied it somewhere. Whatever. It is now a 3/3. When this moves, and it does not come with a move, and it's not non-reveal. When this moves, put a card from your hand into play at the old location. Cool. So you move this card with whatever, Ghost Spider, a Heimdall. It's gonna grab a card in your hand and drop it into play. Please note. Please note. Please note. It does not have a built-in move, which is going to make it awkward. This works really well with movers. The movers it works well with are Heimdall, Ghost Spider, Iron Fist, Aranya, Cloak, and Madam Web. Heimdall and Madam Web are the easy two here. I guess Cloak too. The 10 deck big cards like this. There are 10s decks that run cards like Redwing. The cards Redwing comes with are a little awkward. Redwing was going to be this incredible bounce card, and I was really excited for it, so I'm a little bitter talking about it. Bounce is my favorite archetype, and this sucks for it. So Redwing seems like it's probably going to be good in exactly one deck. Again, the problem of this week. Baron Zemo is another card that's good in exactly one deck. However, that deck is one of the best decks in Marvel Snap right now. However, the second time, you don't actually need Baron Zemo for it. Loki, very cool variant, is not a very good card right now, unfortunately. However, I do fully expect him to get buffed before before this happens. I think on 211 in that OTA, I would guess Loki is going to get buffed. That is literally just a guess. I have no reason to think that except that he is one of the key Marvel characters whose Series 5, a premium card that they want to sell us, that is absolutely terrible. So my guess is they would like him to be good because it's just like they're doing this work of making Sam Wilson make Captain America good, right? They don't want cards like Doom, like Loki, to not be played. They want them to be prominent in the game, so I assume that this will get better. The deck we're going to start with is this deck called Red Wings of War. This is a Red Wing Surtur deck. Basically, the logic here is if you don't see Surtur, you can play Red Wing, and it's going to give you the opportunity at the end of the game to play this extra big card. You can Heimdall at the end of the game. You can play Heimdall and Scar with a lot of different play patterns, but if you Heimdall, you might as well get a free card out of it. The free cards in this list are insanely strong. That's the entire logic. I made this list this season. It's still one of the top win rate versions of the Scar list with Juggernaut in that Red Wing spot, so I cut Juggernaut for Red Wing, and let's see how it goes, because I bet you this is very, very strong. Then we have Crime Afoot's Millerica. This is the current mill list. It is one of the best lists in all of Marvel Snap. It runs Baron Zemo. If I had to pick a single list that has the least worst matchups right now, it would be this one. I don't think this actually really struggles with anything right now. It's not great into Arishem, but it's not terrible into Arishem, and thus this is a very powerful list that one should strongly consider playing, which means you should strongly consider Zemo. From there, we go this Derek Arishem list. The only place we still see Loki in any successful list right now is Arishem, and I don't believe you really want to be playing it there. But to be honest, I think Arishem is better without Loki, but it's a card you can play in the list, right? It's still an acceptable thing you can do in Arishem outside of anywhere else. Again, I don't like it, but this is where we are. Our last card of the month is Diamondback, and then we're going to get to like the rankings and ratings. So Diamondback is a 3/3 ongoing. Enemy cards here afflict with negative power have an additional -2 power. So that should be screaming Ajax deck. So if you bought that Ajax bundle, you should be sitting pretty right now, but that should be screaming Ajax deck to you. If it is, then you're going to love this card because that is the home. This is yet another one deck card. If you have Luke on your side, this is an amazing card, but if you have a Luke on their side, this card does nothing. You are at least one power ahead of Luke. They did say, or at least strongly imply, that they're going to break Luke apart and give multiple cards its ability, which will make Diamondback significantly stronger. And that is still one of the strongest decks in Marvel Snap, so that's nice. The cards that afflict Man-Thing, Hazmat, Scorpion, US Agent, Cassandra Nova, Rocket and Groot, Silver Sable, and Bullseye, in addition to the Evo cards of Wasp, Cyclops, and Thing, that's a lot. That's just a lot. I'm very excited. If you play Hazmat, and the opponent doesn't has 3 cards there, right? You play Hazmat. The opponent has 3 cards in this location, and your opponent doesn't have Luke, and you don't have Luke. You lose 1 off your Diamondback, right? But then you're gaining 6. So you're gaining 6 power on that opponent. So this is now playing as a 3/8. Seems like that's good. If you did have Luke, it's playing as a 3/9. That's a lot of power to add to this deck, especially because you can double afflict and so on, right? It is any enemy cards afflict with negative power, so if you afflict, um, it's not like ever going to give -4, right? It's only going to max out at -2, but that is very strong, very strong. This can work with Bullseye. I wouldn't assume that we're going to try and play with Bullseye, but it's a thing to do. This Diamondback with the ugly spotlight variant, sorry, no offense to the artist or those who like it, I don't like it very much, is going to be very good in one deck. Phoenix Force and Nimrod go in one deck, but they also go separately. We're going to look at a deck with them both together and separately. It's not a meta thing to do right now unless your name is Jet. And dear viewer, unless your name is Jet, I think that you're fairly safe to skip this. Sorry, your name could be Gutenchad if you really want to play Nimrod too. So this is what the Ajax deck looks like. Sometimes we run Hydra Bob here. I basically cut Hydra Bob because I don't like very much in this list and said, I'm going to run Diamondback. This isn't the best Iron Patriot could ever be here, right? Maybe we want to throw Gladiator and we figure that out as we go. But this is still a very strong list where I can go US Agent into Diamondback. Perfectly fine. And just say, I dare you to play here. I dare you to play a big card here. This seems very good, right? I think that this is going to be one of the best lists in the game. However, the week Diamondback comes out, she's going to be terrible because everyone's just going to put Luke in decks, so they don't have to deal with this bullshit. So Diamondback is going to be a card that looks bad that I'm pretty sure is going to be very strong. We have Jet's Phoenix Force Penny. I basically looked at Jet's untap profile. Jet is, for anyone who doesn't know, the best Phoenix Force player in the world. He plays an unreal amount of Phoenix Force. Phoenix Force is in every deck. I basically looked and went, what is your best Phoenix Force list win rate ever? And it was this Penny Parker list that Jet never plays anymore, but was the highest win rate Phoenix Force list that he ever played at a large sample. And I was like, all right, so if you want to play Phoenix Force, this is a really good place to start. The deck that Jet did best with is a really good place to start. The reason this is so strong is because Penny Parker allows you to do other shenanigans with your Torch and multiple men so that you don't have to actually Phoenix Force them, right? If you can get a penny on a torch that you then Naranya, Ghost Spider, Doctor Strange, you can Zola it off and then absolutely go to town, right? If you can pull that off, you've probably won the game. You can do similar things with multiple man, although obviously Zoling that is less effective, which is again really cool. You can also double the Nico with the Penny Spider. It's really really cool list. Obviously, if you Phoenix Force Human Torch or multiple man, that's a snap condition, and that's what this list wants to do. Very strong. Gutenshot has this Nimrod list. This is the only successful Nimrod list of recent vintage, but it is a very cool list. It's basically saying I go Shuri Nimrod. There's versions of this that run Galacta as well. I perhaps might even like that version a little bit better because you can run Shuri or Galacta and Nimrod, and then you can run that with Galactus and try and go off that way. And the idea here is that you have a ton of ways to get a bunch of Nimrods all over the board. It's a lot of power and really cool. And then there's the list that combines this. This is our friend Orsted's version. Emperor Hulkling is usually Alioth or Heimdall in these lists, but this one says I can either get my Phoenix stuff going with Multiple Man or Human Torch on turn 4, or I can go turn 4 Shuri into Nimrod, and then I can destroy that and put a bunch of power all over the board that way. Either way works just fine. So that's what this list is really trying to do. It's a really cool idea from Orsted that has existed for a really long time. But Orsted was, for a little while, one of the best Phoenix Force players in the world with this list around August, as you can see from the date on the video, on the deck. So that is what you would do with Phoenix Force. If any of that seems, oh my god, I love that kind of combo, Phoenix Force is great. Nimrod is great. If not, eh. I don't believe this month has any must-have cards, like at all. I just don't think so. I think Diamondback is a solid buy, and Thunderbolt Ross is a solid buy. Like A's are solid buys. I think they're really good buys, largely because we know what deck they go in, and that deck is meta. Blink is also a solid buy because Hela is just, again, a known really good deck. For decks you like, we've got Joaquin Torres, who I think might end up higher, but because he's so experimental, he and Sam Wilson are just going to be a tier lower, as is Redwing. I think Redwing probably belongs in C. It's close. Baron Zemo is B here because the best mill decks don't necessarily need him. There are multiple replacement cards. Remember, your goal with mill decks is not actually to mill out your opponent. It's you're using them as power and tempo. Cards like Zemo are just big. So you're using it as power and tempo, which is why it's replaceable. Phoenix Force, Namora, and Makkari are if it suits you. Namora is for a deck you like, but again, it's one deck, right? And we know that that deck is not meta or in the meta. Makkari, there's surfers with and without Makkari that are both in and out of the meta, so don't feel required. And Phoenix Force is at least good. I would not go for Loki, Nimrod, or Nebula without buffs. I think all three of those are far enough outside of the meta that I wouldn't aim for them. So obviously you should target the highest tier stuff if you have the other cards. If you like Scar decks, target Thunderbolt. Uh if you like Affliction decks, target Diamondback. If you don't, target Blink. I'd also like it barely noted here that the March cards all come with better spotlight stuff. Like there's a card that's name now escapes me, Starbrand, that comes with Scar, and those two cards go together. Firehair comes with Cassandra Nova, and those two cards go together. So there's a lot of that in March. So if you could save up a little bit for March, you're more likely to get better value. Wiccan comes with an amazing card, Isan, at the very beginning of March. So be forewarned that you don't have to go completely crazy right now. The season pass remains the most important thing in the game to buy, and it isn't close. If you can get the season pass, do so. Joaquin Torres gives me bullseye vibes. There may be something here, even if it's not going to be immediately obvious. Makkari is better than you think, and Namora is in a deck that's surprisingly good, but it is, once more, one deck, and you need Lasher in it. You need a couple other cards. Thunderbolt Ross is just the Idiot's deck, maybe Hella. If you got Ares, you probably want Thunderbolt Ross. Thunderbolt Ross. Nebula is whatever, but Blink is going to be great. So, I think that is a really good week to open. If you got Ares and you're playing it with Heimdall, if that Heimdall version is what you want, then you're going to want to open the Redwing week. If not, then just open the Thunderbolt week and skip the Redwing week. Zemo is great for Mill, but Loki needs a big old buff before he matters. Meanwhile, Diamondback is Affliction only, and she comes with 2 Series 4 cards, so I think she's a relatively easy skip unless you must play that deck, unless you love that deck. I think Torres week is my number 1. I'm just high enough on Namora, I'm just high enough on Makkari, and I think Torres has a new deck in him that I think this is my number 1. Don't open for Torres tomorrow, though. Wait, because the way we do our reviews here on this channel is thorough. We don't believe in wasting spotlights. What we do is we give you the preview and the day 1 deck tomorrow. Then a day later, or sorry, 2 days later, we do top player thoughts. And then after we do top player thoughts, we do a statistical review for weekend missions. And then after weekend missions, we have enough to give a last chance review. This way, you make sure the damn card is good enough to be worth buying. Although if you need Makkari and Namora, I think you're reasonably safe here, assuming you want to play Surfer and have the cards for that Surfer and Namora deck. That's why it's number 1. I think Thunderbolt Ross week is more or less equal to Redwing week, largely because Mill is a better deck than Hella, but I think Thunderbolt is a better card than Redwing. That said, I don't know if I would go get Redwing if I didn't have Thunderbolt Ross, so you're probably opening both weeks if you are opening them, which sucks. So, sorry, you're probably opening Thunderbolt Ross week if you're getting Redwing, but you don't need Redwing for Thunderbolt Ross. So maybe Thunderbolt Ross week is a little bit ahead. Diamondback, I think, is great, but it's one deck card in a week full of one deck cards. So that is going to be last. That is my suggestions for what you should do. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/snapjudgment. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I'm going to say thank you too. And look, we're doing this in a new way because I finally hit enough people that I could no longer justify making it smaller and smaller. Let me know how you feel about this, dear friends. I'm also Ocularis, who won the most gifted subs, is the special Patreon thank for the week. Thank you to Ocularis, my dear, dear friend. All right, we're also going to say thank you to all our great patrons. Thank you to Abigail Kiesland, our OG AG. Mandatory Burnout, my alliance leader. It, regardless, is a real word. Always kind, LAB. Ink, the Graphite fan. I am Frostman. You sure are. Thanks for hanging. Hota Neverete. What's up, Hota? Thinking Poker of the Thinking Poker podcast. Prime Bryant, sponsor of Snap Jones League Season 3. Check out the Prime Mind app. Ryan Burke Avenue. Ryan Wood. Woody. Check out yesterday's stream on VOD if you haven't. I played your deck a bunch and won. King of Questions, Kertixley. Koirei coming all the way from Japan. Kuzushi as we finish up our Ks. Almost because we have Archangel 3K. Well, now we got 4Ks, baby. Black Dahlia, another wonderful Alliance leader. Welcome back. Pyrofros. Hey, what'd I say? Alliance leaders. The Goat Seeker. What's up, Goatsy? Alliance leader galore. Hallowed. Only Fox. Synth. Thank you for that wonderful offer earlier, Synth. Fat Nick. Dirty Casual. Mr. Kerfuffle. What's up, Kerfuff? Gables. traveling the world, not around right now. Ginger Prime, how you doing, Ginge? We called your game on stream yesterday. Philip Rakovich, whose butt I kicked and who does all of our wonderful shorts. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. Oops, excuse me, what's happening? The Notorious Bizzo. Black Jeebus 23, who's also quite notorious. Exorcy and Skippy G, rhyming friends. Hello, Jessica Gamble. Mr. Slush Death, winner of Snap Justice League Season 1. The King of Bros, Brup, The Great Kazoo. Werewolf, thanks for hanging out, friend. Kev Sihota, miss you. Luna Chris, I owe you a game because you left right before we were going to play. Clam, Colonel Forbin, also thanks for hanging, my friend, and the gifted. Rob Silverman, I kept you in the mid row, my friend. M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, our favorite Hellcow fan. Steven, Brian Coffin, Tristan Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Sterry, Matt V. That is the new and extended real name town. Ren Wrench breaks up before we get to Q Town. Corbin, John Q, and Jimmy McQ. Yistout, 8th Sage, One Big Man. Welcome to the show, One Big Man. Thank you so much for the support. As well, Milkman for Reals. Thank you for the support. BG. What's up, BG? Quid Pro Joe. Hey, Quid Pro Joe. Hopefully you're doing well. Snap Decisions Joe, our friend of the Snap Decisions podcast. He will have Regis Kilman on. Make sure you check that out today. Mod Supreme Models. My favorite Osborne, the Green Goblin. Unibot. Sup, Uni. Flan56. My wife enjoys flan. Not really my thing. The Fuzzy Down. Spectrum X. What's up, Spectrum? Hoot. Matt V, who I moved. Now I gotta delete that. See? Double Matt V. Knew I was gonna mess one up. Matt H. What's up, Matt H? DJ, Mikey, Hijinks. No frickin' flex. Nick, Duck, Greek Geek. Check him out on Twitch, please. He'll stream one day. I'll make him. Zodrex, check him out on Twitch. King of Canada, Twitch and YouTube. Denman Falcon, YouTube. Thor Newman, Twitch and YouTube. Jonesy of the Triple Threat, who is crushing it on YouTube lately. Our friend Two Ties, who ran that awesome Power On tournament, helped out with it. What a beast. Our friend Lauren Whatevs of the Snap on This Pod. The Pirate King Tucker, who's doing too much Rivals, but coming back to Snap. Watch, wait for it. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you follow my recommendations. Hopefully you keep up with the channel so that we can make sure that you spend your tokens the right way. Thanks for watching. Check out some more great videos. Don't forget you can click that thing at the middle to hit that sub button. And I'll see you tomorrow with 4 great decks. I promise you, I've already got them set up. Peace.